All right, well, welcome. Hey, my name is JD, and you probably know me because I am probably already your teacher. But hey, if you are just finding this because you're on my YouTube channel, welcome. And hey, I just want to go over some basic chord inversions for triads and as well as four note or like seventh chord type things. So this is primarily for my students, but hey, I mean, if you get something out of this, that is awesome. So let's dive in. This is going to be kind of a two-part, and I'll put a little description link so you can kind of jump between the triads or the four-note versions, depending on where you are and what level you're at. So let's talk first of chord inversions. What are they? All it is you can think of it as shapes, right? Inversion is probably the fancier term, but really it's just playing different shapes of the chord, moving chord tones around, rather than say just your root shape, which would mean like, you know, the name of the chord. If it's a C chord, the C starts on the bottom as a foundation note and then builds up. This is just saying, hey, we're in this shape, or, you know, again, kind of arrangements of different chord tones. So I want to give you just the basic ones, the kind of the go-to shapes that we all kind of learn at the beginning, and that's the whole point of this video, just to get you started. So there's some sheets, and you should get these, or I'll throw them on my website here eventually, but if you're a student, you should have already had this, and this is kind of, again, just to help you out. So a triad, this is the fancy word for just a three-note chord, and this is, if we've already done our chord sheet as far as filling out and like learning how to build all of the chords with our major thirds and minor thirds and how we stack them, right? This is the three-note. This is your major, your minor, your diminished, your augmented chords, and those four primary foundational chords, okay? So these fingerings work for all of them, and you should see on the sheet, have it on here on the screen so you can see it, but we're going to just go through a C major chord first, and then just kind of walk you through some fingerings, and then you can apply this to any of those four different types of chords, and as well as any of those chords, no matter what the root, black notes, doesn't matter, right? So to start with, our right hand, we're just going to say our thumbs are 1, just a reminder, pinkies are 5, right? We're going to say our C, E, G, and we're going to play it. That is our root foundation, just your basic chord. Most of you already play it. Now we're just kind of putting a name to it, putting a shape to it idea, right? So to do the inversions or shapes, to start with, we're going to say the bottom note becomes the new top note. So now it becomes E, G, C, and then our E goes up, becomes G, C, E, and one more time takes us back to our home position. G goes up. Now we're just up an octave, that same root shape, right? We're going to come back down the same way. Top becomes the new bottom, E comes down, becomes the new bottom, C comes down, back to our root shape, all right? So fingering wise, you're always using, and this goes for both hands, you're always using outside fingers, thumbs and pinkies, and then as far as just these three-note chords, to start with, it's going to be a 2 or a 3 finger. And, you know, the more advanced you get and the more kind of chords you're doing, some of these fingerings will kind of shift depending on the tune. But your basic foundational fingerings, these are what you want to build into your muscle memory. These are the fingerings we want, right? So thumb, pinky, 2 or 3, and the 5. So if I am hands together, I am a 1, 3, 5, skip, basically. Both hands, this is the one time that both hands are the same exact fingerings, right? If I go up my shapes, you'll notice my C goes up, I become E, G, C. We're going to have opposite 2 and 3s in the middle, right? Same idea for the next shape. If the E goes up, so G, C, E, I kind of swapped my 2 in the left, 3 in the right. One more time, this is that root shape, so I'm the same position, right? And I come back down the same way, the 3s and 2s, 3s and 2s, hands together, same fingerings, right? Now, if you need a quick just idea or way to think of which do I use, my 2 or 3, right? If I'm just skip, I'm always just skipping the fingerings, right? But if I am the 2 or 3 in those shapes, basically think of that, my fingerings are changing in those shapes or inversions. All I have to do is think of the closest 2 or 3 to the skip versus the 2 notes, or that 4th, right? So I'm using my 2, that's closest to the 1, my right hand, the 3, it's closest to the skip on top, and of course my root shape, same rule applies on the left hand. If my root goes up, my 3 is closest to the skip, my 2 is closest to the skip. And there's my root shape, right? So the end of the day would be, can I just play these hands together? You know, if you can do it in time, even better. But at this point, it's just, man, do I know what's in my chord to start with? Somebody says, what's a C major? I'm like, boom, C, E, G. Cool, I got it. Or what are the shapes? Hands together. Just nice, easy up, down, back. Doesn't have to be fast, just needs to be confident. Now, some of my students will do this. They'll come up here and they'll be like C, E, G, right? And obviously you have to learn some way. But I kind of encourage students, I want you to really just find your note without playing it and then play, right? Like find it, play. Get used to how it feels when you play them all together rather than just kind of broken, right? There's a place and time for both ways, and you're going to use it in both ways throughout your songs, but just in this idea of feeling those shapes, don't play single fingers, just find the notes, push, find the notes, push, right, and so forth. Okay? You can read again on these fingerings, just a couple ideas I threw down there, just maybe ways to think about it with the idea of shape versus inversion, but no big deal. And then let's talk 7th chords. 7th chords are 4-note chords, right? And this can go for that major 7, the minor 7th, the actual 7th, dominant 7th, flat 7 chord. This is kind of the go-to, again, the go-to fingering that hopefully is kind of in our muscle memory, because we're going to see these shapes even when we're playing just written music, but maybe they don't show us fingerings. And if we kind of have this idea, we'll automatically kind of go to that, right? So plus whenever you get into improv and stuff, we want this in your fingerings as well, because it just makes it that much faster to kind of pick up on creating melodies when those fingering, that technique part is already there, right? So let's talk about a C7. That's the example that's on this sheet, on this picture here. And it's that one more note, right? In this case, it's the C, E, G, B flat. And just like before, we're going to just concentrate on using outside fingers for sure. And we're going to say basically 2 and 3 fingers again. And we're only going to have one shape that uses the 4 finger. And that's underlined on this sheet that you'll see. And we'll kind of talk about a way to think about that as well. So let's go back to right hand. Our root shape again is just skipped. So 1, 2, 3, 5. If you have black notes, remember there is no rule that says you have to play the key with your fingers at the front of the keyboard, right? So I sometimes get students that want to play at the very front of the keyboard, and then they get twisted when they add these black keys. And you don't have to get twisted. If you find yourself kicking your elbows out like a chicken or something, right? Just keep your hands deeper into the keyboard and they'll straighten out a little bit, because you don't want to be too twisted and uncomfortable for sure. So 1, 2, 3, 5, and if I move, again, same idea, bottom note becomes new top note, so E, G, B flat, C, bottom again, G goes up, and B flat goes up, and I'm back to my root shape, and I get to move back down just as I did. I get to do my same thing in my left. Bottom goes top, bottom goes top, bottom goes top. Now, some of you have already noticed that there were some 4 fingers. Let's talk about that. You get one shape in both hands, okay? Whenever your 7th, and you have to, again, identify root 3, 5, 7. Whenever that 7th and the root are next to the pinky, this is the easiest way to think of it. Next to the pinky, that's when I'm going to use my 4, 5, and then just my 1, 2. So no 3 in that shape. That's the only time. All the other shapes are 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 5. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, right? Left hand, same rule applies. Regular 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, and boom, there's that 7th by my pinky in the root. So there's my 1, 2, 4, 5, and then I'm back to root shape. That's it. That goes for all 3 of those 4-note chords. Now, if you get into sus chords, I mean, things are going to shift, and you're just going to have to kind of play with, you know, how do my fingers kind of feel, how comfortable are they? But these are, again, just your basic go-to shapes, okay? So hopefully this helps. You can go back and watch this or re-watch this, check out my fingerings, my hands. But again, no matter how many black keys, it stays the same. All right, just let yourself go deeper into that keyboard and you'll have it. All right. All right, we will see you soon, hopefully. And again, if you are new to me and you just got something helpful out of this, thanks for watching. And man, if you want to leave a comment, that's great. And hopefully see you in the next one. All right, bye.